Kia ora, in the news today, North Korea has torn up its non-aggression pacts with South Korea and has threatened the US with a preemptive nuclear strike. The statement comes just hours after the UN Security Council unanimously voted to impose tough sanctions against North Korea. Pyongyang says a new war is unavoidable because of joint South Korean and US military exercises. China, North Korea's strongest ally, and the United States are expected to bring great pressure to bear on every country concerned to prevent any escalation. Fewer people are working, but those who are in work are receiving higher wages. The Crown financial statements to the end of January show the government's deficit is $500 million lower than expected. That's being put down largely to a higher tax take. There was also a fall in employment at the lower end of the income scale, for example in part-time workers. And job losses at Bond & Bond are expected to be minimal, with the electronics chain set to merge with Noel Leeming. The Warehouse Group has made the announcement following its purchase of Noel Leeming at the end of last year. Chief Executive Mark Powell says all Bond & Bond non-management staff will be offered comparable roles in Noel Leeming stores. He says, though, it will be a little more difficult to find roles for management staff. An armed man who caused a major police alert in central Brisbane today was arrested this afternoon. Witnesses say the man was shot and wounded by officers before being taken. Thousands of workers and shoppers were evacuated, with police telling them to run and take shelter in nearby shops. Back home, Labour wants an inquiry into the financial problems besetting Solid Energy. MP Clayton Cosgrove is writing to the chair of the Commerce Committee to ask for the inquiry and for it to subpoena its former chief executive, Don Elder, if necessary. Dr Elder has so far refused to appear before the committee, despite still being on the payroll and receiving a $1.3 million salary. Tourism New Zealand's 100% Pure campaign is the focus of a complaint to the Advertising Standards Authority. Auckland man Peter Nuttall has lodged a complaint saying advertising New Zealand as pure is false advertising. He says the environmental state of the country isn't as pristine as the campaign would suggest. Mr Nuttall says scientific evidence and reports show the claim simply isn't true. Catholic cardinals have again put off a decision on when to begin the conclave that will elect the next pope. Only cardinals aged under 80 can participate, and there have been several late arrivals after Benedict's sudden decision to step down. The last cardinal has now finally arrived in Vatican City. Power prices are on the way up. Genesis Energy, Nova and Contact Energy have announced that they're putting their prices up next month, as is the online retailer Power Shop. Labour leader David Shearer says businesses and families are being taken for a ride, with prices being put up by 5% on average. A rare comet is making its way across New Zealand's skies this week, but it won't be back for another 110,000 years. The Pan-STARRS comet is around 160 million kilometres away from Earth, but it's visible to the naked eye. Carter Observatory astronomer John Field says anyone with a view of the western horizon is in a prime position to view what looks like a bright star. Finally, thousands of sharks have closed beaches on the southern coast of Florida. Swimmers have been ordered out of the water after the sharks were seen extremely close to shore. They're heading north on their annual migration. Researchers have counted 15,000 sharks in the area. And finally, it turns out that the Mayan calendar's prophecy of the end of the world in 2012, as spectacularly depicted in the Hollywood movie of the same number, was never meant to actually be the end of the world. University of Auckland Hood Fellow Central American literary expert and scholar Professor Arturo Arias says that was just a Western invention. The Mayan civilization actually intended the date in 2012 to mark continuity in a time of crisis. And that's it from us for today. From all the news team, have a great weekend. Ka kite anō.